Last night, The View exploded into a fiery inferno of chaos, a spectacle so raw, so unapologetically brutal, that it left social media in a frenzied meltdown. Picture this: Ricky Gervais, the razor-tongued British comedy titan, storming onto the set like a gladiator entering a lion's den, ready to dismantle Sunny Hostin's sanctimonious throne with a verbal onslaught that left her gasping for air. This wasn't just a guest. Appearance gone rogue. It was a seismic reckoning, a masterclass in exposing the rotting core performative outrage, cancel culture, and daytime TV's sanctimonious sensationalism. Gervais didn't just show up to spar. He came to dominate, leaving Hostin's carefully curated aura of moral superiority in smoldering ruins. This wasn't about plugging his Netflix special Armageddon, no. This was a cultural tsunami, a rebellion against the suffocating dogma of woke censorship that shook the foundations of public discourse. Buckle up, because I'm diving headfirst into every electrifying detail, every razor-sharp quip, every jaw-dropping moment that made this the most explosive TV showdown in years. This is 5,000 words of raw, unfiltered truth, no fluff. Just a thrilling saga that had everyone from comedians to keyboard warriors losing their minds. The storm brews a setup for slaughter. The chaos didn't ignite out of nowhere. The ABC studios in New York were crackling with tension from the moment Gervais, 52, with his scruffy beard and sly glint, and his eyes stepped off a black cab into the crisp morning air. He was there to promote Armageddon, his latest Netflix special. But he smelled the ambush from a mile away. Producers swarmed him like nervous hornets, thrusting a thick stack of guidelines into his hands, a veritable Bible of censorship, trigger warnings, forbidden topics, and sensitivity rules. Scream, control, no jokes about religion, politics, identity, or anything that might cause harm. Their faces stiff with forced smiles betrayed their panic. Gervais smirked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. So, basically no comedy at all. They didn't laugh. This was serious business, preemptive damage control for a man they knew could torch their carefully curated narrative. Backstage, the air was thick with hostility. A makeup artist later spilled the tea, whispering that she overheard Sunny Hostin in her dressing room, venom dripping from every word. This transphobic trash needs to be exposed. I don't care if he's funny. He's dangerous. Hostin, the former federal prosecutor turned TV pundit, had locked her crosshairs on Gervais. Like a predator stalking prey, she had built her brand on wielding legal jargon, like a machete slicing through oppressors with unshakable moral authority. On national TV, to her, Gervais was the embodiment of comedy's evil's, a white, straight male Brit who dared to jest about sacred cows like wokeness, identity politics, and celebrity hypocrisy. She saw blood in the water. The pre-show meeting cranked the drama to 11. Producers pulled Gervais aside, their whispers urgent: respect Sunny's perspective, facts aren't everything here, it's about feelings. Gervais nodded, but inside, he was sharpening his wit. Head roasted Hollywood's elite at the Golden Globes without blinking, mocking Tom Hanks' woke credentials to a room full of listers was child's play compared to this. Backstage, while a warm-up comedian droned on with safe, toothless bits about coffee and traffic, Gervais scribbled notes on his phone. The View's hypocrisies, their history of soft-pedaling controversial guests, Hostin's selective outrage, her own tweets mocking conservatives, white people, and men. Without a whiff of backlash, he was loading his arsenal. The stage is set, a powder keg ignites. As the show kicked off, the panel, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sarah Haynes, Alyssa Farah Griffin, and Sunny Hostin dove into hot topics with their usual self-righteous gusto. The air was heavy with sanctimonious vibes as they dissected celebrity scandals, political missteps, and cultural flashpoints. Hostin led the charge, her voice soaring with prosecutorial zeal. Comedians who profit from pain are no better than bullies they hide behind. Humor to spew bigotry, and it's time we hold them accountable. Her words drip with venom, her eyes blazing. Joy nodded, nervously aware of Gervais' reputation for shredding critics. Whoopi stayed neutral, her comedy roots making her wary of blanket condemnation. But Hostin was on a mission, framing Gervais as the villain who needed to be vanquished. Her words a deliberate setup for the slaughter she planned. Then came the moment. Please welcome Ricky Gervais, Whoopi announced, her voice warm but cautious. The audience erupted in a mix of cheers and hesitant claps, some thrilled to see the creator of Afterlife, others primed by social media smears to view him as a pariah. Gervais strode out in jeans and a black t-shirt, waving casually, his posture radiating unshakable confidence. He took his seat, scanning the hosts like a scientist studying a bizarre new species. When his gaze landed on Hostin, he lingered, a sly smile creeping across his face. Sunny Hostin, he said, his tone disarming, yet razor sharp. I Googled you, former federal prosecutor turned daytime TV star. Quite the career pivot from locking up bad guys to lecturing funny guys the audience chuckled uneasily. Hostin bristled but held her composure, and proud of my evolution, she fired back her voice-tight. Gervais leaned in his British accent, slicing like a scalpel. Evolution? You went from prosecuting criminals to prosecuting comedians. That's not evolution, love. That's devolution. The audience's laughter grew louder, but the tension was palpable. Hostin, launcher, attack your comedy hurts people. Ricky, you mock trans individuals, disabled people, religious communities. It's not funny, it's oppressive. Gervais' eyes narrowed, his voice steady but fierce. Say that again. Say I mock trans individuals. Give me one specific example, one actual quote where I mock trans people rather than discuss the absurd discourse around trans issues. Go on, I'm waiting. The takedown. Hostin crumbles under pressure. Hostin fumbled with her note cards. Fluster your entire special, she began, but Gervais cut her off. Not missing a beat. You haven't watched it, have you? You read outraged tweets, seen clip snippets out of context, but you haven't watched the whole thing. Because if you'd know, I never mock trans people. I mock the ridiculous extremes of the debate, the hypocrisy, the overreach. There's a difference, but nuance doesn't make for snappy TV sound bites, does it? The audience murmured, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. Hostin was on the ropes, and Gervais wasn't letting up. Joy Behar jumped into back. Hostin, Ricky, you have to admit some of your jokes are offensive. Gervais turned to her, unfazed. Everything's offensive to someone. Joy, you made jokes about Christians, Republicans, Southerners. Hell, you roasted entire groups on this show. Are those not offensive? Or is offense only valid when it's aimed at targets you agree with? He stood up, his presence dominating the set. The camera zoomed in as he pointed at Hostin. Hair race. What's really going on, Sonny? You figured out that outrage equals ratings, victimhood equals virtue claiming, offense give you power. So you build a career on it, but you're not actually offended, you're opportunistic. How dare you? Hostin gasped, her face flushing. How dare I? What? Gervais shot back, his finger jabbing the air. Call out your hypocrisy. You had Harvey Weinstein on this very show lob him softball. Questions laugh at his quips, but comedian joking about Hollywood's double standards, that's where you draw the line. Give me a break. The audience's murmurs grew louder, a mix of gasps and cheers. Gervais pulled out his phone. Want to see something fun? These are your tweets. Sunny jokes about white people, men, conservatives, generalization, stereotypes, straight up mockery. But that's fine, right? Because you're on the right side of history. That's completely different. Hostin protested, her voice rising. Say that again. Gervais challenged, his tone unrelenting. Explain how your mockery is righteous, but mine is violence. Explain the difference without sounding like a total hypocrite. Ill wait. Hostin was trapped, her logic crumbling. She stammered, but no clear answer came. Gervais pressed on, pulling a folded paper from his pocket. This is fascinating. The views, advertising, demographics, 92% white, middle-aged, upper-middle-class women. You're performing diversity for the least diverse crowd on TV, selling wokeness to folks who have never faced real oppression. That's not activism. That's theater, pure and simple. Whoopi's dilemma, and Gervais killing blow. Whoopi tried to mediate. Ricky, that's not fair, but Gervais was ready for her too. What's not fair? Whoopi, you're a comedian yourself. You know comedy thrives on risk, on pushing boundaries. But you sit here quiet while she turns into a thought crime. You sold out your own craft for a steady paycheck. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Whoopi's face twisted in conflict, her Oscar-winning comedy career flashing before her eyes. Gervais wheeled back to Hostin. You want to know what really offend me? People like you using real suffering as a shield for your agenda. Trans folks face genuine discrimination. Disabled people battle real challenges, and you hijack their struggles to score points on TV. That's not allyship. That's exploitation. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Subscribe for more powerful video.